And so I'm going to show you that you're going to get no answers. All right, so this would be, to find my x-intercepts, I would let y equal 0. So this will be 0 is equal to negative 1 over x plus 3 squared minus 2. I'll add the 2 to both sides. All right, and then I cross multiply. So I get 2 times x plus 3 squared equals negative 1. And then again divide by 2, and I get x plus 3 squared equals negative 1/2. Now if I take the square root of both sides, this is going to give me imaginary numbers. So there is no, so that tells you no x-intercepts. But again, I could have told that just by looking at it. I didn't have to go through all of this. And then I'm going to let y equal 0. To find my y-intercept, I'm going to let x equal 0. And so if I let x equal 0, I get y is equal to negative 1 over 0 plus 3 is 3 squared minus 2. So this would be negative 1/9 minus 2 would give me negative 2 and 1/9. So here's negative 2, here's negative 3. Negative 2 and 1/9 would be here. So that's going to give me this here. And notice that this is 3 steps over from my vertical asymptote, and these are symmetrical about these asymptotes. So if I go 3 steps over in the other direction, I'll get another point just to kind of give me a guideline so that I can draw this side of it. So this is how you find your vertical and horizontal asymptotes, how you find your x and y intercepts, and how you find these graphs. Now, on these, they also may ask for our domain. So let's look at our domain here. All right, so and we'll look at the range as well. So notice that the vertical asymptote always tells you what your domain is, because that's the number you're skipping over. So here it starts at negative infinity and it goes to negative 3, but it doesn't hit negative 3. And then then it jumps over negative 3, and then it goes to infinity. So remember, domain is your x values. Now, if you look at your range on this one, notice both of them are going down. So it starts, remember, range is bottom to top. So it starts down here at negative infinity, but then it doesn't, and I forgot to write this, this is y is equal to negative 2. It doesn't even hit negative 2. So it goes to negative 2, and it goes to, and that would be a parenthesis because it doesn't reach negative 2. So notice on these, the domain and the ranges will always have parentheses. There are no brackets involved. Okay, so let's look at this one. So on these, my domain is going to be everything. Remember, the domain is the x value. So the domain is going to be told by the vertical asymptote, the x equals 1. So it would be from negative infinity to 1, union from 1 to infinity. The horizontal asymptote will tell you what your range is, because it involves the y coordinate. So here, notice on this one we have bottom and top, unlike the volcano where it just goes in one direction. Here it goes in both directions. It goes up and it goes down. So this is going to be, it jumps over this value where y equals 2. So it'll be negative infinity to 2, union 2 to infinity. So the domain is told by the vertical asymptote, the range is told by the horizontal asymptote. All right? Same thing here. Domain will be everything except for negative 1. So negative infinity to negative 1, union negative 1 to infinity. and the range will be, and notice on this one it's a volcano, so it only goes up. So it starts at -2 or right above -2. It doesn't actually have a point at -2, and both of them go towards infinity. So in the volcano you only have one piece, but on the boomerang for the range you have two pieces. And then let's look at this one more to show you. So the domain here would be everything except for -2, negative infinity to -2, union -2 to infinity. And the range would be everything except for 3. So from negative infinity to 3, union 3 to infinity. So that's how you do the domain and the range. All right? So just to recap everything. When you see either a reciprocal or a reciprocal squared function and you're trying to graph it, first you make your denominator 0 to get your vertical asymptote, then you look at your shift to get your horizontal asymptote. Then the x and y intercepts are just like they always are. X-intercept you let y equals 0, y-intercept you let x equals 0. All right? Then you have a little bit of work to do on these x-intercepts, but it's not anything that you don't know how to do. All you have to do is cross multiply. And then when you let your y-intercept equal 0, sometimes you'll have fractions, but that's okay, just use your calculator. And then plot those 2 points, and then you can draw your graph. Remember, if it's a reciprocal function and it's to the first power, and this goes for any odd, if it's cubed or to the 5th, it's the same thing. It just hugs the graph a little bit more. But it basically looks the same. So if it was 1 over x cubed, it would look the same thing. It would be in first and third quadrant, but if you have a negative, then it's in the second and fourth quadrant. All right? If you have a reciprocal squared function where this is squared, or it could be to the 4th power, or even any even power, then it's going to look like this. It's going to be a volcano. And if it's negative, then it's going to be an upside down volcano. So kind of knowing what your graph is going to look like helps out a lot, because then you know, oh, this is one of those where I need to find the vertical and horizontal asymptotes. Then you find your x and y intercepts, and you move from there. Notice also that sometimes you will not have, if you have a volcano, you may not have any x-intercepts, and that's okay. And if you try to solve for it, you're going to come out with an I, and at that point you go, oh, wait a minute, I can't have a negative under the square root and get anything that's on this graph. And so there are no x-intercepts if it comes out to be an I. All right? So that's how you work these problems with transformations.